Welcome, everyone. Give you guys a couple moments to find the room here. Say hello if you're jumping on. You can see me and hear me. Thank you for being here with me this morning. Happy Monday. It was a groggy Monday for everyone in my house. We got a nice chunk of snow over the weekend, and the kids were hoping for a delay, as was I. But lo and behold, there was no delay. So welcome. Hi, Lindsay. So for those of you who don't know me, my name is Laura Mazzata. I've been a holistic therapist for 20 years. I'm also on Akashic Records channel. And the reason that I'm doing this, how to deepen surrender, is because this seems to be a theme that's coming up across the board with everyone lately. How do I deepen this? Like, I know that when I get to this point of frustration, when I get to this point of exhaustion, when I get to this point of, oh, my goodness, where do I go next? I'm lost, I'm confused, etc. We know we're being invited into a deeper level of surrender, but there's just something in us that's like, I can't get there, Laura. Like, how do I do this? How do I get to this next level of surrender? Because the fact is, the reason that I titled this How to Deepen Surrender rather than just How to Surrender is that you can be really, really good at surrendering, but still need to deepen surrender. And that's one of the things that I've found. When we're working with the infinite, we have infinite space to continue to deepen surrender, trust, allowing, acceptance, unconditional love, all of it, right? Like, we're human beings. We're always in a space of deepening our understanding, not constantly trying to better ourselves or get to ourselves to a point of quote unquote enlightenment or being good enough, but to just deepen our trust and our faith in the infinite. And that's really what surrender is, right? It's like the ultimate bow to the universe, the ultimate bow to source, to God. And what this does is really say, like, I'm willing to offer you the reins. I'm willing to offer you the reins to guide this ship. And when we do that, honestly, it's the biggest act of service to our collective expansion, to our collective health and wellness, clarity, confidence, mental health, etc. So, hi, Missy. Hi, Nayla. Yeah, you got lots of snow too. I thought we got 7 inches, but my friend told me we had 10. So between 7 and 10 is what we got. It's really, really, really beautiful outside. Morning, Danuta. It's good to see you. So I'm going to be talking a little bit today about some concepts that have come forward around surrender, not just based on what I've brought through the Akashic Records, but also some of the tools that we have here on this planet, like understanding the frequency of words, in addition to the exchanges that I've had with some clients recently and what's come through the Akashic Records. And this is why I wanted this to be not just an opportunity for me to share some downloads around surrender and to really open this up as a conversation, but also to offer you an opportunity for Q&A, because the fact is, surrender looks different for everybody and it feels different for everybody. And granted, there are some very, very common threads that I'm going to be talking about in a second that allow you to realize that that's what's going on, that that's what you're being invited into. So it's helpful to have that benchmark and to have that understanding. But it's also really important to see, okay, where is Danuta struggling with surrender? Where's Lindsay struggling? Where's Missy struggling? Where's Nayla struggling? So that we can really get an idea of how surrender can really shift and have these tiny little tweaks and be refined for each person's field and or situation or experiences that you're in. We're not always being called to surrender in the same way, depending on what it is we're dealing with, right? And I think it's really important to understand that it's not as important to surrender like what it is we're surrendering than it is to understand what we're surrendering for. So the first thing that I want you to do in the comments, I'm going to ask you guys to answer a couple questions here. One is, how do you define surrender? Like, what does surrender feel like to you? What does it mean to you? What does it look like? Like, how do you define surrender for yourself? Morning, Ranjit. It's good to see you. So let me know how you define surrender. And then I have a couple other questions for you, but I want to give you guys some space to share what surrender feels like and looks like to you. What does it mean to you? How do you define surrender? Letting go of control and trusting the universe. Okay. Beautiful. Love that. That's absolutely right on point. Giving up control and letting go to the unknown. Great. Yeah. I like the fact that you use the word unknown, Nayla, because there's almost like a deep acceptance of the fact that there is going to be an unknown, that we're not going to know everything when it comes to spirituality. We're not going to know everything when it comes to surrender, like that we're not meant to, and that we trust that the knowing that is meant to come to us around this concept will arrive as we continue to connect and stay open. Release from the need to manipulate the outcome. Yep. And where does manipulation come from? That comes from the mind, the subconscious mind primarily, right? We're not always trying to do this intentionally, but we're gripping, right? We're gripping onto the outcome. Surrender for me means self-acceptance, and acceptance of external factors and finding the flow between them. Brilliant. Love that so much. Hey, Daisy. Let go trying to control with your mind and listen with trust. Yes, yes, yes. Brilliant. Okay, guys, good. So, great. Okay, we're done here. No, I'm just kidding. You answered all the questions. We're complete. All right. So my question is, why do you desire to deepen surrender? It's so important for us to understand this, because a lot of us do it because we feel like we're at our wit's end. We don't have another choice. So it's like, fine, I'm just going to surrender. Fine. And I'll tell you, I have been there so many times in my life. So I've been able to experience both experiences of like, oh, I'm intentionally choosing to surrender because it offers me fill in the blanks. Like, what does surrender offer you? Like, why are you doing this? Why do you want to deepen surrender? There's a big difference between that, like intentionally doing this and choosing this, and throwing up your hands and feeling like, I don't have anything left. I don't have another choice. So I'm just going to do this. And it's like a Hail Mary, right? Right. I agree with you, Ranjit. The alternative does not work. You're 100% right. You know what? It does sometimes work very temporarily, but it's a Band-Aid, and it's a freaking delusion, right? It guides you towards this path of thinking you're surrendering, and then you keep getting handed shit on a plate and you wonder why. And it's like, well, because you're doing this like half-assed superficial surrender that's not really truly invested. To let go of expectations that lead to disappointment when they're not met. Yeah, expectations. That's a big one. And I think that's one of the fears, like there's always fears associated with surrendering. I still experience them myself. Like when I go to surrender, I'm like, right? What is that fear about for you? Like what scares you so much about letting go? What scares you so much about releasing the reins? Is it what Nayla was just talking about, where you're trying to, I mean, she wasn't referring to this in particular, but she mentioned the word disappointment. Like, are you trying to avoid disappointment? Are you trying to avoid not getting what you want, because then you would feel, you know what I mean? I'm actually happier when I surrender because I'm not trying to control anything. Right. And that's exactly it, Missy. Thank you so much for saying that brilliant comment, which is exactly right. Once we actually decide to surrender and choose to do this and feel it, we have more control. We end up realizing we have more control, or we're actually magnetizing what it is we desire more, because we're not in this energy of resistance. Letting go means I'm allowing other people's energy and events to guide me as well as my core guidance. I'm not really in control, right? Because it's not about us. So I'm going to give you guys some these definitions that I had put in my post for this masterclass. I'm going to read you these and give you some feedback on them. And I'm going to talk about a couple other points, and I'll ask you guys to share your thoughts as we go along, of course. And and then I want you to share where in your life you are struggling with this, or you are asking for guidance in areas to surrender. The areas for me that have been the most potent and impactful in terms of surrender are my health, my relationships, and my career. Is there anything left? I think that pretty much covers it. But those are the areas that I've really been faced with this very, very bold invitation to surrender at a deeper level. And this is why we're here in this human form, so that we can experience these opportunities to choose. What are you going to choose? Even surrendering to mood, right? Surrendering to mood. Like the other day when I was miserable, Saturday, I was miserable. I was in the worst mood, and I chanted, I moved my body, I had a dance party, I meditated, I read, I cuddled with my kids. I mean, you name the energetic practices, the Reiki, the everything. It was like, yeah, no, I just want to be here with you for a little bit. I was like, okay. So I just surrendered into it, and it's really beautiful to not have to put on airs, not have to put on a mask in any way, shape, or form, and just be. No matter what state you're in, you don't have to analyze it, you don't have to explain it, you don't understand why, right? Okay. So the first definition of surrender is to cease resistance to an enemy or opponent and submit to their authority. So it's really this concept of ceasing resistance. Okay. This is what a lot of people struggle with. Like, how, Laura? How do I just stop resisting? Okay. And I want you to ask yourself, where is the resistance within you? Is the resistance in the body? Is the resistance in your emotion? Like, where are you feeling your resistance right now in this moment? Like right now in this moment, I feel my resistance in my solar plexus. That's where I currently feel it. And I feel a little bit in my neck and my shoulders. It's really important to connect with the body and identify where resistance lives, but not to necessarily just listen directly to the body immediately. And when it says jump, we say how high, because I want you to remember that the tension and resistance that we hold in the body is also held there based on some filters that come through the subconscious mind as well. So the body is a mostly reliable source, but it can also develop patterns of tantruming that where it desires attention, that are really interlaced with some of these belief systems and narratives that we hold in our subconscious mind. So we want to gather information from the body, but we don't want it to just be about the body. Yeah, exactly, Danuta. We act based on limited data, so we can get so much more if we allow the universe limitless source. So that's one question, is like, you're holding this in your body, okay? Why are you holding on to this? Are you holding it onto this resistance out of safety? Are you holding onto this resistance out of exhaustion? Right? Like, I can't let go right now. I can't because I can't tolerate what it feels like to let go. I can't tolerate not having control. Why? What are you gripping onto? What is it that you're gripping onto? So that's one of my, those are a few questions that I'm just putting out there for your own journaling meditation. If you want to answer them now, if something comes up, feel free to drop it. It's just going to serve other people. But it's ceasing resistance. And I want you to also understand that ceasing resistance is not something that happens overnight, right? Again, we're human beings. We're going to encounter levels of resistance as we go through life. And so the idea is to become more and more in tune with, exactly, Ranji. We've been conditioned for years, you guys. Years, decades we've been conditioned. Like I always say, I had sepsis and then was home for like 7 years, really not feeling so hot. Obviously I got better and better over the course of time, but it was a process. And I'm like, it makes so much sense to me that I would need to kind of be home, cocooned, nourishing and nurturing myself, considering the history of things that I've gone through in my lifetime with trauma, etc., where I either wasn't in a space where I could be a child, right? Where I needed to take on this different perspective, and where I really needed to learn how to reparent myself. I really did need to learn how to parent myself and to take full responsibility for what was showing up in my field, whether that was my health, whether that was relationships, etc. I struggle with two factors. One, appearing strong and competent always, and second, carrying a lot of this on the back of my shoulders. Yes. Thank you for sharing that, because that's really big, you guys. And one of the big reasons that we surrender half-assed, or surrender and it doesn't take, or we need to keep deepening, is because we still have this mask or this veil of fierce independence. Like, I've got this. I can do this. I run into that still myself, right? It's like, I've been a therapist for 20 years. I know exactly what, it's just like, come on. And that's all ego. That's all ego, right? The fact is, we don't know. We don't know a lot of what we think we know, or what we think we're meant to know. And this is why that deference to the divine is all knowing. The divine will always know better than any of us on this planet, even the most brilliant humans on this planet, the most well-researched, the most wealthy, the most resourced, connected people on this planet. Nothing compares to divine intelligence. Nothing. Right? So it's being able to surrender anything that we are standing on in our human. What are you standing on in your human is like a badge of pride. And that doesn't mean surrender all of your pride, right? But it's also noticing, where are you attached? Where are you attached to certain roles or identities or ways that you're showing up? Where are you attached to that to make yourself feel safe, to make yourself feel accomplished, whole, complete, etc.? Okay. So good. That's beautiful, Missy, that you were invited to stay in silence. I was invited into that, I think it was a couple years ago, when I was, I kept saying, I was sitting down with God and I was like, dude, why is it that every door I keep going to is like partially open? Like, what's the deal here? And it was really about being in silence with myself, like consistently being in silent meditation. I did it for a good 6 to 8 months, and it was an absolute game changer. And the first couple of weeks is not the easiest process, but that's really beautiful, because that's the ultimate surrender. And that's one of the things that I wanted to share with you guys about space, right? Like opening space for surrender, opening space for this process, to be with all of you, to be with whatever comes up. Because when we don't have space from all of these distractions and all of this overstimulation in the world, it can be very confusing or challenging to surrender. Okay. And this is where detachment comes in, this detachment from outcomes, like we were talking about earlier, this detachment from other people and their paths, their journeys. Detachment from them having to serve needs for us, to fulfill us in some ways. That doesn't mean that we're never going to get our needs met by people. Of course we are, naturally. But it's going to be like, ooh, that's so enjoyable and nice and luxurious to receive that need fulfilled by another human being. I don't require it, but I super enjoy it. It feels amazing, and it just expands my experience here. It's not required for me to function, but it expands my experience, right? And that's where releasing control of the outcome of relationships, or of how much another person loves us or sees us or accepts us, or deeply pours their passion and love into us, right? It's not up to us. And we need to allow that outcome to be what it is and trust their journey. So detachment's a big one. It's a big one. And detachment from, this is what was happening with my health. Detachment to whether I lived or died. I'm not going to grip onto, I have to get better, which is what I was doing for a while. I have to get better. I have to improve. I need to be healthy. I know I'm well. I know I'm well. But there was still this like trying, forcing, doing energy behind that was leaving me in this space of, I was like exhausting myself trying to get better rather than accepting what is, accepting that this is where my body is meant to be right now, accepting that there's still lessons here that I'm meant to uncover and understand. Whether I understand them consciously or whether my body and my energy understand them doesn't matter. But like, I'm deeply in acceptance of what is of that about this person who might not want to be in a relationship with me. And I'm like, but we have such a good connection. What's going on? Like, I can see this. I can see the potential here. I know, and you can have that deep knowing, and the other person can be in a different space, and it's being able to say, I accept that. Like, I deeply appreciate you and your process. I deeply appreciate the space between us. I deeply appreciate the role that we play in each other's lives, because I know that all of this is happening for me and not to me. Okay. So Lindsay says, my parents basically think I'm a hippie in the wind now that I'm working on not continuing to live in control freak mentality that I was raised with. Yep. Let them see that, because you know what, honey bunches, they're going to feel that way. And then they're going to witness you. They're going to witness your expansion. They're going to witness your happiness. They're going to witness your strength. And it's that witnessing that is what changes people, not us forcing it, not us teaching it, not us explaining it until we're blue in the face and justifying it. Right. And that's the beautiful thing. I can't tell you the number of people in my life who have shifted because of me just continuing to do my own work and them being able to witness me. People that, like, I would say, if God can change them, anything can happen. Right? Like, stubborn ego heels deep into the dirt. Like, I am not moving, dude. Like, I am righteous and I am, and it's wild. It is wild. And this is where it's not about other people at all. And it's only about our own faith, deepening belief in the universe, deepening belief in energy, in ourselves, and how powerful of a magnet we are, right? Like, we are so powerfully magnetic when we are fully in that alignment with who we are, with our soul's essence, with where we're meant to go, with who we're meant to become, right? And so it's like, as we own that more deeply and take full responsibility for showing up, when all that noise comes in from the outside, it's like, I totally hear you. I totally see you. This is where I'm going. This is where I'm rooted. I know it deep in my bones. I know it with every cell of my body, because I can feel it unfolding within me and around me. And man, nothing's going to shake that. And when you get to that point, it doesn't matter what other people think, with surety. I don't know if that's a word, but it is now. I'll add it to Laura's dictionary, that they're going to shift if they're meant to. They're going to continue to be invited into this vibration just by having you in their sphere of energy, their environment, etc. Yes, releasing crippling toxic perfectionism. I was there big time. I find it challenging when confronting lessons to know when I've gained the information I needed, and can I just move on and let go off to the next lesson. I like that. Can you bring that forward a little later in our Q&A, Missy? Because I really like that question. Hi, Sherry. You're so cute. I'm so happy you're here. All right. I haven't even gotten through the damn definitions yet, you guys, but that's okay. I'm bouncing around with my notes. So we're going to cover it all. That I don't doubt. And if we don't, we surrender, right? To what exactly we are meant to receive today. This morning, I was like, oh, I want to, add some things, and I want to really connect and channel. And I'm like, or I surrender to being fully guided in this masterclass, right? How many of you have shown up for something, whether it's a live, whether it's a talk at work, or something that you've had to do, where you are like, I need to prepare. I need to make sure all my notes are in order. I need to make sure I have all the bullet points so that I come across this way so that we get the outcome we desire, right? I have learned so much in that category. Man, I used to be the preparation queen. I still am when it comes to bringing snacks places. I have to make sure I bring snacks. Other than that, I kind of throw everything to the wind and just kind of fly by the seat of my pants. But that's the thing is like when we deeply trust, you know, why do you need to make sure that all your ducks in a row? This is where you know you're being invited into trusting more, into trusting yourself to be led. One of the things that I want to share here, I'm going to again jump around a little bit since this is coming up, is this um, this definition around a definition of surrender: abandoning oneself entirely to a powerful emotion or influence. Abandoning oneself entirely. I mean, how does that feel in your body, dudes? Like that just gives me chills all the way up and down my spine. It just feels like shit. Like no wonder this feels big. No wonder surrender feels big. I'm abandoning myself. I'm abandoning parts of myself. And this is how I want to shift this for you, because when we talk about the frequency of words, these definitions come from the dictionary. Who made those up? Humans, right? Like human beings made these up, maybe a collective of humans. Either way, you know, it's not like the collective of humans speaks for all of us necessarily. I mean, they contribute to the collective consciousness, but we don't have to necessarily decide that that's our truth. And so this idea of abandoning oneself entirely, I love that concept when it comes to spirituality. I can see why that scares the crap out of the nervous system and the ego for sure. And you're going to have some shedding to do, and you're going to watch your ego tantrum as you abandon yourself, right? But it's like you can think about, well, oh my gosh, I'm abandoning myself entirely. Well, that sounds like that's going to activate a trauma response for any of you who have abandonment wounds, right? But when I look at it, I'm like, this is actually freaking brilliant. Right? This is brilliant because I'm doing it intentionally. Like I'm intentionally abandoning myself to make space for more of God to move through me, to make space for more of the universe to fill me. Right? I'm choosing to abandon parts of myself that no longer desire to fill the burdensome role of keeping me safe or doing X, Y, and Z because I didn't take enough responsibility before to do it for myself. So it had to come in and protect me and take care of me. Right? This is the parts work that we do. I do this in my vitality program. I actually just wrote my first chapter in Holistic Mental Health Volume 2 on parts work, on how to do this. Right? And so it's like, I love this concept of choosing to abandon parts of yourself that are no longer serving you. Right? And why? Because again, like I'm going to change the words on this. This is that mantra, that prayer that we say of make me empty. Right? Make me empty, source, to fill me with your service. Empty me. Empty me of anything that is not a match to you. Empty me of anything that is not a match to the service that I am meant to fulfill, to expand your brilliant plan, to execute your brilliant plan, to expand your space to serve more openly here. Make me empty. And I want to say this can be a temporary thing. It's not like, oh, I'm abandoning all of me all in one fell swoop. No. This is why when I connect and I say, this is a quote from Victoria Washington, may there be none of me in all of you before I do anything. May there be none of me in all of you. Right? Take my ego out of it. Take my conditioning out of it. Automatically, by having this energy move through me, it is going to be laced with my flavor, my energetic flavor, which is why you guys who are coming here today are understanding, okay, well, I like the way that Laura shares these messages because you understand the way I speak it, because you are meant to be here, because you were magnetically drawn here by your soul. Right? Whereas there's going to be other people who are going to speak these kinds of words with the energy moving through them from the universe that's going to come out differently because it's being filtered through their energy. Right? But my ego isn't part of it. My conditioning isn't part of it. So that's a big one. That's a big one. And that's where the fear comes in around surrender. Abandoning oneself entirely. And this is, again, around the why are you surrendering? This gives me my answer really clearly. I'm surrendering because I desire to align with God's will. I'm surrendering because I want to be in full service of the universe. I don't want my egoic interpretation and preferences to distort what is meant to come through me. Right? And it's going to a degree. probably for the rest of my life, right? But I'm going to continue to deepen. I'm going to continue to receive that call and to get to the place that I'm meant to get to, right? Letting go of those little messages we've acquired over the years can feel like letting go of an old friend. And this is where grief comes in, right? This is another part of the definition: to give up or hand over. To give up or hand over a person, a right, or a possession. You think about giving up your child to God. You think about giving up your partner, right? You think about giving up yourself or your inner child to God. That sounds excruciating, right? Actually, what it is, it's an invitation into deeper intimacy. It's an invitation into deeper intimacy with my child, with my inner child. Because guess what I'm doing? I'm allowing them to be even more of themselves. I'm loosening my grip, giving them more energetic space to be more of themselves. And when they can do that, I get to know them better. And when I get to know them better, we get to really appreciate how we naturally click, not how we forcibly click, but how we naturally click, and allow the flow between us to really expand into something really creative and inspiring, right? But yes, it can feel like loss when we do this. When we're giving up or handing something over, it can feel like loss. And sometimes that's an actual loss of previous versions of ourselves and previous ways of being that we have felt have kept us pretty much on the straight and narrow for so many years, right? But again, why have we executed that control? Because we don't trust. We think we need to be kept on the straight and narrow, because otherwise what? We're going to become unruly. That's what we've been taught, right? That we're going to become unruly. And oh my gosh, what happens if all these people get all these creative decisions and feel super inspired and have all of this divine wisdom and perspective? What's going to happen? Oh no, we might love each other more. We might love each other more. We might have a greater ease and flow, right? So honor that grief, honor that loss, honor those feelings that come up when this happens, because you want to be really gentle and present with the human as it navigates this as well. But what I want you to realize is, similarly, when we talk about grieving the loss of a loved one, we also recognize that the reason that grief exists is because of how hugely we loved. And as we allow ourselves to grieve and we allow ourselves to be in that space, we actually open ourselves to a deeper level of intimacy with ourselves and with other people and with what we're calling forward and with source. Okay. All right. And then the last, there's two other parts here that I want to share in definitions, and then a couple other notes. And then I want to see what's coming up in your lives, particularly, so we can even get more concrete and specific here. But another definition of surrender is to lose advantage, right? So like if you're in a sports game or something, losing a point, losing a game, losing an advantage, right? And this here is what we were talking about a little earlier around, you don't need the advantage. Who gives a shit? This is where it's like, this is an illusion that you're in control of your life. It's not about you. This is where this concept of it's not about you comes in, right? How much can you surrender to the fact that this is not about you? Like that this life is not about you. You're massively relevant. I always say this, if you've been on my lives or in my programs before, you're massively relevant in the fact that you're taking responsibility for the role that you're meant to play in this moment of time to share universal energy and to expand consciousness. But you're also completely irrelevant as well. Because at the end of the day, it's not about you, right? It's about the expansion of the universe. So I think we can very easily get caught in this like, oh, woe is me. Victim mentality is a big one here. Oh, woe is me. And like, oh my gosh, I lost, or I don't have the advantage. I don't have control in this situation. I don't know what to do. Da, 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 da. And it's like, well, what if it weren't about you? What if you surrendered that this had anything to do with you and you just realized that this was simply energy that's moving and you happen to be in the vicinity of this energy that is moving, right? So give up this concept of needing to have an advantage. And the less you can make it about you, the more easeful your day-to-day is going to become, because you're truly, that all of your actions have been serving a higher purpose. Even if you don't see it's unfolding consciously right in the moment, it will unfold over time. Again, that's deepening the faith, deepening the belief, deepening the trust. And then the last piece here that I want to share from the definitions is the definition of surrender around canceling something and receiving back a proportion of the premiums paid. So this is kind of like an insurance policy, right? Like I'm surrendering the policy. I'm surrendering the life insurance policy and I'm receiving something back. This is the exchange. This is the exchange. I'm going to choose to cancel the conditioning. I'm going to choose to cancel the tight grip that I have on the outcome of my relationships or my job or my income. I'm going to choose to cancel that. And when I cancel that, when I choose to cancel that from my life and I make a decision to do that and I sign it, right? I'm signing my name to this. I'm signing a contract to cancel this conditioning, to cancel this gripping to the outcome. I'm going to receive back. I'm going to receive back a sum. How big is that sum? It depends. When we have life insurance policy, we put money in, right? The amount of money that we put in, the amount of investment that we put in determines how much we are receiving back. So what I'm asking you here is like the amount of investment, the amount of devotion, the amount of dedication, the amount of belief that you are putting into source, that you are putting into your soul and your soul's path is a direct reflection of what you're going to receive back. I love this one. Initially, when I read this, it seemed completely irrelevant and I was going to cut it out. And I was like, wait, this is it. This is the exchange. The more that I cancel the conditioning, that I cancel the grip on the agenda, and I deepen my investment, I deepen my belief, I deepen my faith, I deepen my devotion to myself, to my soul, to the collective at large, the expansion of the planet at large, the more I receive back. Okay. All right. So just a couple other points here before I take your questions around specifically what's coming up in your life. We talked about space. We talked about detachment. We talked about accepting what is. One example that I want to share with you around accepting what is, I shared my own example around physical illness, but I want you to think about Jesus Christ, right? Whether you're a Christian or not doesn't matter. We all know that he died on the cross, right? We all know that he was crucified. This is a historical fact. So this is where I want you to really touch base closely with that question I asked you earlier, which is what are you surrendering for? Why are you surrendering? Jesus accepted that all of these people hated him. Jesus accepted that nobody believed in him. He accepted that he was given these gifts and these things to share that felt probably huge to him, right? And he performed the ultimate act of surrender, which is like, I will not allow, I will cancel all of the naysayer. I will cancel anything coming into me that is making me doubt my faith. I am willing to fully surrender my life because I believe so deeply. Because I believe so deeply. I know to the core of my being who I am and the messages that I'm meant to share and the impact and the healing that I'm meant to have on other people, right? What was he surrendering for? His faith. That's the only reason I want you to surrender. Not so that you can escape a situation, not so you can get away from how you're feeling. I want you to surrender because you're deepening your faith, not because you're trying to get away from something. And it's still going to help you if you surrender to get away from something. But if you know me at all, you know that my middle name is sustainability. I've been a therapist for 20 years. I have seen so many people going around in circles, right? Band-Aid, back in my office. Band-Aid, back in my office. Band-Aid, back in my office. In the mental health system. So you can use the Band-Aid, but don't allow that to be an illusion of sustainability for surrender or for ease or for actualization of your core essence. Okay? My other question for you is that's attached to this is like, are you looking to get something out of your surrender? So many people are. I did that for a long time with my health. Well, if I surrender this, then I'll feel better. If I surrender this, then this person's going to soften toward me. If I surrender, right? Like even though if it was coming from a loving space, like, well, if I surrender my resistance here and just love this person, maybe they'll soften. That's still manipulative. That's still manipulative. And that's coming from my subconscious mind. It's not like I'm doing that on purpose, but it's like, I'm still trying to control this other person. Right? Rather than I'm just going to choose to deepen my faith because I know that everything extends from there. I know that source is the source. The more that I allow source to be a match for me, to allow me to be a match for source and call more of that energy in as I open up more and more space for that, as I cancel my conditioning. I'm surrendering to what is meant for me rather than what I want to actualize or what I think I'm supposed to actualize. The other piece here that I just want to mention briefly is that how much of service it is to the planet for us to surrender, that we all share collective consciousness. So as one of us surrenders, it creates a domino effect where other people are going to surrender. They may be completely across at the other side of the planet and you have no idea, right? But it's realizing the impact that your energy has just by being connected to collective consciousness, that when you choose to surrender, you're automatically inviting other people in to do the same without even recognizing it. Okay. All right. The last thing that I want to share here is, and this is really, really important when it comes to surrender. We've been talking about a lot today in this a little over 40 minutes together. And a lot of what we've been doing is processing all of this from the heart up. I'm sure there's some things I've said that have hit your heart. I'm sure there's some things I've said that have hit the mind, even the nervous system, which is systemic. But a lot of what we've been doing is from the heart up. And what I find, and I've seen a ton lately, another reason that I was motivated to do this masterclass, so many people are coming to me and they are beautifully expanded in their consciousness and like super intuitively connected and really their faith is gorgeous. It's gorgeous. But a lot of their spiritual work is from here up. And I'm like, babe, this is the reason you're having trouble sustaining this. This is the reason that you're having trouble with continuing to deepen into more surrender, because you're not bringing the whole body online. You're not bringing the whole body into this surrender experiment. And if you haven't read the Surrender Experiment by Michael Singer, I highly recommend it. It's a great book. But having this hard up spirituality is something that I mean, it's really beautiful. Honestly, it's really beautiful and it feels good and it's going to help and support you. But you're going to find a lot of this if you're not really bringing the body online into this surrender experiment. Okay? And how do we do that? This is a combination of movement, of developing a sacred, intimate relationship with the body as its own consciousness, as its own divine self that was designed and orchestrated by your soul, right? Like developing an intimate relationship, sacred relationship with the body. And this also comes up in our interpersonal interactions and the actions that we take with the body. How are we engaging with other people? How are we witnessing other people? How are we responding? Are we responding from a surrendered space? Are we allowing ourselves to respond from our divinity? And this is where a lot of our conditioning is held in the nervous system, where there's a lot of reactivity that comes online, right? I was writing about reactivity in my journal last night, actually. And one of the reasons that we get into reactivity is because we want things to work out a certain way. Like we have expectations, we have an agenda. There's an outcome in mind, and we get reactive when that outcome isn't met, right? And so the more reactivity you have, the more surrender you need, the more trust you need. Okay, and so I want you to take a deep breath here. I'm going to share a card that I pulled for us from the Power of Surrender deck by Judith Orloff. I used to use this deck all the time. All the time. I used to pull a card every day to see, what am I meant to surrender today? And I love this deck. I really do. I think it's great. It's very, very, very simple. There's no guidebook with it. Like it's just a very simple few messages. What we got today was surrender stress. And the reason I don't use this as much anymore is because I do feel like there's a depth of surrender that this speaks more to the mind and body, which is great. And it's part of our process. But I do think there's a lot deeper layers that we can go to. Like for me, what I would do when it says surrender stress is I would sit with stress. I would sit down and I would sit with stress. And I'd identify where stress is in resistance to being surrendered. And I would develop a conversation with stress. You know, what's going on here? What are you gripping onto? Having the same conversation that we're having today, just with this component of ourselves. So surrender stress. Take a few deep breaths and exhale the tension you've built up in your body. Let the stress go as you come back to your center. A lot of people don't even know what their center is. They don't know where to find it. And that's where sitting in stillness can be very helpful. And people who are really activated in their nervous systems, you're going to need to move your body. You're going to need to tap. You're going to need to chant, sing, scream, wail, whatever it is, be outside before you sit down in silence, because there's going to be too much energetic movement and too much tension and resistance that you may have difficulty really being able to sit with these aspects of yourself. Okay. So that's one card I pulled. And the other thing I want to do before we head into the Q&A is just offer you guys a little bit of a chanting practice. Chanting is one of my favorite opportunities to surrender and immediately feel aligned with the divine and with my soul's frequency. And this is something that it's a palpable sensation for me. And that's what I want you to remember. It doesn't matter what you do as much as it matters how you feel when you're doing it. And when I feel myself chanting, I empty. I just empty myself out. And that's sometimes with the breath with people. They like doing breath work exercises to completely empty themselves. Some people, it's physical exercise. So, and it doesn't have to be one or the other. You know, there can be multiple ways that you empty yourself. This can be a visual of bringing in a waterfall of sparkling energy that just comes in waves and washes everything down through the base chakra, through the feet, into Mother Earth to be transmuted. There's lots of ways that you can empty and allow yourself to just be spoken to and to receive. But for me, chanting is my favorite way of doing this. So let's just close our eyes for a moment and take a nice deep breath together. Allow the shoulders to fall back and down, the jaw to loosen, the face to soften. Soften is the best word that I can come up with for the human body to surrender. Soften. Allow the breath to soften. Allow the arms and legs to feel heavy. Allow any resistance in the body to temporarily let go. Just for this period of time. And allow yourself to fully receive as I offer you this chant. Om Namo Gurudev Namo. 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 Take a nice deep breath and release. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Whenever you're ready, you can open your eyes. I'm going to drop that chant in the chat here so that you guys know what I was chanting. This is a chant. I kind of consider it a prayer, to be honest with you, but it's a beautiful one for surrender, because this is really, I bow to divine wisdom. Like, I accept and appreciate that I'm never going to know as much as the divine. I'm never going to know as much as my soul. And I'm okay with that. I'm okay with not knowing. And I'm okay with deferring to divine wisdom and allowing it to move through me. I trust it. I deepen my belief in the fact that I'm being led. So I really encourage you to try chanting on for size. You don't have to use this one necessarily. You can also use just Om Shanti Om. That's the simplest one. What I like to do is just look at, I have a chanting playlist. It's called a kirtan playlist, actually. But I have a bunch of playlists. You don't need to put in your email or anything. They're completely free to access. But these are all of my playlists. And so what I like to do is just tune into a chant that you really like or that resonates or feels really, really good to you, and just allow yourself to feel it. Just feel it and listen to it on repeat, and you'll start to chant along with it, and you'll start to trust it. You can also write down what some of these words are phonetically so that you can practice slowly to get into understanding a chant, because the chant in a different language bypasses our subconscious mind, and so and our conscious mind as well. And so it's not going to talk back and say, no, that's not true. Like if I were to say, oh, I'm safe, I'm safe, I'm safe, there's going to be a narrative going on in the background. And that's okay too. It's still productive, but these really take us straight to the soul. So I think that's all I have for you today in terms of downloads around surrender and what I wanted to kind of teach and share. And I want to open it up now to welcome your questions and areas in your life that you feel that you desire more surrender, or areas in your life where you feel you're having trouble surrendering, where you're experiencing resistance. So I can give you some really practical, concrete tips. What I've been talking about so far, I have talked about some concrete examples and experiences, but I've also been talking about a little more like higher level spiritual consciousness stuff. So I want this to be practical and applicable to your everyday life. So let me know what's coming up for you. And while you guys are dropping those questions and thinking about them, I'll tell you too that my Vitality program starts this week. I really encourage you to check that out. If you have been following me for a while, if you've been part of this experience, if you've been part of any experiences with me, especially A Taste of Vitality, that is in the expansion portal, which is my Facebook group. And that was a free intensive that I did a couple weeks ago before the holidays. It was freaking amazing. And it gives you a taste of this program. It gives you a taste of the intimacy and what we do to really customize energetic and spiritual practices multiple times a week to what's coming up for you, so that you can say, Laura, oh my gosh, this is what's going on with my partner. Holy shit. Or the pattern's here again, Laura, what do I do? Right. And we can talk about, it's not just giving you guidance. It's saying, I want you to extract the guidance that's already within you. Right. And by the end, everybody who leaves this program just feels so much more confident, so much more clear, deepened in their belief. Their intuition is freaking on point. Because the whole point, I created this program for myself. The whole point is to rewire this, right? To wire this trust and belief, this new system of understanding, this viewing everything as energy into your new mindset, your approach to life, your embodiment of your own divinity. Okay. All right. So I feel like my job is to share what I have learned with others, yet I feel this resistance. Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up, Danuta. My current energies, please. Reno, I'm not doing readings so much this morning as I am answering questions about areas of your life where you desire more surrender, just so that we can really inform other people as well who are here for the surrender topic, and really get more concrete guidance on what this looks like when we're integrating into the human. That's one thing I really pride myself on is I can be really out there in the cosmos and really take you for a nice ride in the universe, but access every interdimensional being you could want. But I think it's so important, and that's fun, and it's exciting, and it's expansive. But the fact is, we did sign up to be humans, and I want us to be able to really integrate that into how we're showing up on this planet, and to feel really grounded in our spirituality and not just flying outside in other dimensions. Okay. So, so Danuta, I feel like my job is to share what I have learned with others, but I feel this resistance. So let's just feel into that together. Okay. I feel that in your heart space. And to me, it feels like rejection. It feels like you have this real fear of rejection coming up around almost being seen as a fraud, like you aren't who you say you are. And it's really funny that this is coming up, because every time I would do a spread for a period of time a few months ago, a card spread. One of the things, the rejection card kept coming up, and I was like, I am so sick of this card. Like, why does rejection keep coming? And really, because I was like, I'm integrating this. I'm understanding. Like, I think I'm understanding this. Um, but what was happening is that I was rejecting parts of myself. So to me, I think that you reject your gifts a lot. I think that you reject a lot of, like, I know that you have all these beautiful gifts to share, but I think you're rejecting the fact that you are meant to really lead people in it. And that's really what's holding you back, like you said, is not being able, is not sharing it with others. But I want you to realize that you are sharing it with others. You're doing it all the time. You're always commenting on people's reflections in my Facebook group and online. I see you commenting and bringing through some really, really beautiful guidance and wisdom. And I think that when you're sharing that with other people, I want you to realize that that's also a gift for yourself. They're reminders for you. And I think you know that already. But it's really this deep wounded part of you. It's your inner child who really wants to be held and seen. And that shows me that there's a really big part of you that desires to or needs to embrace your inner child with more wholeheartedness, like just a full on embrace of all of your inner child's tantrums, um, and really not letting yourself get sucked into the narrative around it. Like, if a child is tantruming because they can't have chocolate, it's really not about the chocolate. It's about their control. It's about them feeling like they're helpless. Like, they want to have some control over their life and their reality because they have adults telling them what to do all the freaking time, right? And so it's being able to see through that same veil when it comes to yourself and not allow these stories that come up for you to be real. Believe more in the energy and know that this is simply a shedding that's coming forward. When the resistance arises, and not allowing it to be a block, be with the resistance, connect with the resistance, be with the rejected parts of you, hold those parts of you, allow them to be integrated. And it's very protective because of so many wounds that you've had before when you've put yourself out there and when you've opened up. And I want you to realize that you're not opening up to the collective. You're not opening up to other people. You're opening up to God. You're opening up to source. And so when you're out there and you're sharing yourself and you're sharing your healing, I want you to imagine that all you're doing is taking all of your gifts and you're laying them down in front of source, in front of God, in front of the universe, and saying, look what I have for you, right? Depersonalize it. Don't make it about other people because it has nothing to do with them. So let me know how that feels. Missy, I've been working to significantly expand my consciousness beyond what it has been, and I feel a block. What is it? Okay, this is a big one. Everybody asked me this question. So thank you for bringing this forward because it means that you're eager, right? It means that you're eager to expand your consciousness, which I love. And so there's a couple things that I want to share around this. One is, this is again a bit of an attachment to outcome. I want to expand my consciousness. And it's like, okay, why? Why do you want to expand your consciousness? Because this is the thing. It's like, can you surrender the expansion of your consciousness? Can you trust that your consciousness is already expanding? Because you are open, because you are receptive. I mean, you're here, you're receiving this. I can tell by what you've written that you're very connected, right? That you're very devoted, that your belief is deep. So blocks are an illusion. They exist in the mind. They don't actually exist. Okay? Because energy is always moving. So my question is, where are you out of flow with energy? Where are you not listening to your intuitive guidance and instead going with what's expected of you, or what you should do, what you're supposed to do, rather than just really following that flow? God, I love this, Missy. From childhood, I've had an inner knowing that I had what has been called a logo to deliver through my work that brings joy to people and lifts human spirits. I want to be that message. Yeah, good. I love that. You already are. And that's what they want you to know, is that you already are that message. And If you're having difficulty expanding your consciousness, that tells me that you still need to deeply integrate your current level, because you're automatically going to be invited into your next level of consciousness by source, by your energy. Oh, I'm good at making people cry, Missy. You're in the right place. Welcome. Welcome. I'm sending you lots of hugs and love. Um, it means that you're meant to really more deeply embody. So I feel for you in particular, this really bringing it into your lower chakras, like there's a lot going on from here up, but I really want you to integrate this into the whole body and in your interpersonal connections, and allow this to be you, this state of consciousness to be you fully with less wavering. And when you can fully invite that in and allow yourself to soak in it and immerse in it and like taste all the yummy flavors and textures of it, you're going to naturally be invited into the next level of consciousness. And you're going to naturally do that the more open you are. Like you're going to feel that pull. You're going to feel that tug, or you're going to get into such a space of resistance that your ego is tantruming like a boss. And you're going to know that when you're tantruming like a boss, that means that you're right on the precipice of that next level of consciousness, because your ego is fighting you, right? And that's what I want you guys to realize, is that these quote unquote blocks that show up are not blocks. They're resistance in the body. And when the resistance is in the body and it's showing up and it's palpable and it's present, and we're getting really, really present with our resistance in our bodies and our minds, we're able to recognize that we are ushering ourselves into the next level of consciousness by witnessing the human twitching its way out of its previous skin, just like a snake shedding a skin, right? And it's like wiggling its way out. That's what the ego is doing. That's what the nervous system's doing. It's like twitch, 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 right? Because it's adjusting to a new frequency. Yay, let's celebrate it. So I want you to celebrate more than anything, Missy, because you're already there and you're already tipping over into that. Okay, this is the evidence of it. All righty. Neela, I don't know which area I need to surrender in. Remember what I said earlier. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter the area in which you need to surrender. It doesn't matter what you're surrendering. It matters what you're surrendering for, right? It matters that if you don't know what area to surrender in, who cares? Just set the intention to deepen your surrender, which means deepen your faith, deepen your belief in higher power, deepen your belief in the fact that everything is energy, deepen your trust in the fact that everything is flowing and unfolding. Be the unfolding. Sherry, my words used to just flow automatically, and now I rely too much on writing them down ahead of time so they're perfect. I want to surrender the fear I'm not going to find the right words. Brilliant. Brilliant. Okay. I used to do the same thing. I used to write them down. And I also want you to realize that there's seasons, Sherry. You're going to go through seasons where you write stuff down, and you're going to go through seasons where you don't. Okay. So you're going to go through both. So I don't want you to like be hard on yourself and feel like, you're doing something wrong or there's something sticky in there or something. No, I think that for you, two things come forward. One is more silent meditation would really benefit you. I think I mentioned that to you before, didn't I? Like on a previous Akashic readings and healings. I feel like that might have come through for you. I can't remember. But more silent meditations for sure. This practice of allowing yourself to be emptied and just let God speak through you. Like literally close your eyes. You get to channel. This is what they're inviting you into, Sherry. Whoo, chills, guys. Channeling. I'm going to be hosting a channeling workshop at the end of this month too. So keep your eyes peeled for that. But channeling is what they're bringing forward for you, Sherry. They don't want you to look at it as like, oh, my words are flowing and I'm just kind of like, expressing the divine. Like you are full on channeling, and they want you to like own the fact that you are channeling, and that channeling takes different forms. And my channeling is different every day. Sometimes it comes through my mouth. Sometimes it comes through my sound healing. Sometimes I'm looking at my sound bowl right now. Sometimes it comes through movement of my body. Sometimes it comes through humming, right? So just opening yourself up as a channel. And to open yourself up as a channel, It's really allowing yourself to be fully emptied and closing your eyes and recording a video with just closing your eyes and letting whatever comes through you be expressed through you. It could be noises, it could be like whatever it is, and just witness yourself. And when you watch it back, before you even share it with other people, watch it back. I don't want you to focus at all on what you are receiving from a content or a conscious standpoint. I want you to feel what you receive when you are with yourself. And this is something you can close your eyes when you're listening to this transmission, but I just want you to close your eyes and feel it, because that's what comes through. Like yesterday, I recorded myself chanting and doing some sound healing. And I wasn't sure whether I was going to post it or not, but I listened to it. And because I was like, I don't know, this just feels off. Like it just feels off to me. And so I listened back to it. Because I had kind of cut it off in the middle because I was like, I'm not feeling this. And when I listened to it, I was like, oh man, vibrationally, I transmitted exactly what I was feeling moving through me. You know what I mean? And I was like, oh man, I wish I hadn't cut that short. You know what I mean? Because we don't trust it sometimes. And we get into this analytical, like, we could get into this like a conscious understanding of what's coming through, or a conscious evaluation. That's the word I was looking for. We're evaluating it, right? And it's like, dude, why are we scrutinizing what God is sending through us? Like, do we really need to judge God and to like analyze the universe? That's why I think manifestation is so hilarious, because it's like, it's like, we're trying to manipulate the universe to give us what we want. Really? Do you honestly think you can push God around? Good luck with that. Well, I have felt that before. I'm channeling, whether with words, playing, singing bowls. Good. Yeah. That's what I want you to do. Get back into feeling. Stop doing all this like, oh, well, I need to transmit this. Like I was thinking the other day, I was like, oh, Vitality's starting this week. And I haven't really posted much about it because I've been so focused on like, honestly, I've been doing a lot of my own work, like my own shadow work, my own just frequency work, and my own attunement work. And I'm like, I just haven't really posted much about Vitality. And I have a couple people in there who are just so freaking beautiful. And I'm loving, they already booked a couple one-on-ones. So I'm loving the work that we're already doing together. And then yesterday morning, I woke up and it was just like, it just flowed. Like it just came out of me. And it was effortless. And I'm like, see, Laura, this is why you don't sit down and plan things and like create because you want to get to a certain outcome. Like allow it to flow through you, whatever is meant to flow through you, right? Like that's why you're doing this, is to invite other people to do the same. Like forcing energy isn't going to get us anywhere, right? It's trusting God. We feel vulnerable when we have things going through us that are coming directly from our soul. I love that. And I'll tell you, I will read you. I'm going to pull up what I just wrote for my chapter, a part of my chapter in Holistic Mental Health 2. I'm just scrolling because I literally spoke exactly to what you just wrote, Missy. Where is it? It's in my introduction. I wrote the introduction on duality. You guys are getting a sneak peek. Look at this. I just submitted to the editor for editing. I mean, the publisher for editing. All right. So I was talking about, that human beings are part and parcel of source energy. Like we are divisions of source energy. Source divided itself so that it could experience its own magnificence because it wanted to continue to expand, obviously. And so as portions of source energy, we are going to hold the same flavors and portions of universal energy that exists in the universe within us, right? And universal energy is powerful as hell. All right, we're talking black holes at the center of our galaxy that will obliterate anything in its vicinity into subatomic particles. And this energy is even less intense than source, right? So you can see the potency of what we carry inside of us, which leads to feeling these light and dark aspects in human form. There's beauty in all of it. Instead of labeling parts of us as flawed, sick, dysfunctional, or problematic, we get to interpret sensations and experiences as energy, always moving through us and inviting us closer into full self-acceptance, self-compassion, and love. We get to witness our magnificence and feel the intensity of being pulled toward universal change and expansion, right? This energy, this soul level energy is so intense, you guys. It's so intense. And the more that we connect with it, we feel that in the human body. And we're just like, holy shit, this is the kind of energy, you guys, in the cosmos that results in spontaneous creation of stars, planetary objects, asteroids, and the like. Internally, for humans, this can present as new ideas, emotional experience, physical sensation, and the feeling of momentum. Sometimes these experiences can feel uncomfortable to the human body, but they will always result in forward momentum, even when you feel stuck. You're meant to acknowledge both the dark and light aspects of who you are, witnessing them without judgment, and welcome all forms of energy moving through you with understanding and patience. Ultimately, dis-ease is the culmination of several iterations of dismissing or trying to get rid of the things that we perceive as negative or uncomfortable. You're welcome for story time. That was part of my introduction that I just wrote last week and submitted to the publisher. So thank you, Missy, for bringing that forward, because it's very intense. What comes through us is very intense. No one is denying the intensity of that. We are welcoming the intensity of that when we're on this path. We are raising our hand and we're saying, yes, I want to be part of this change. I want to be part of the explosions of subatomic particles. I want to be part of all of these little pieces of us that desire to be seen, that are coming up when these opposing energies clash. I am here for all of it because I know and trust that it's here for my expansion. And I am here for that. Okay, I don't even know where the hell I started with all of this. I think it was Sherry's fault. Was it Sherry's fault? I can't remember. But anyway, Sherry, that's what I started with, was answering your question. I'm going to move on to other questions now. Thank you guys for receiving that. I just kind of followed that course as it came up. But all right. Okay, so Ninka, I felt so much expansion lately and downloads coming in. But I'm in dreams, really going through some dark emotions. Do I surrender into these feelings as I don't get mentally well? This is why this is happening. Yeah, well, see, this is beautiful. Of course, it's exactly what I just said. Like, you're expanding, right? It's exactly what I was just saying to, I think it was Missy, is that when we are expanding to the next level of consciousness, anything that is not that level of consciousness is going to show itself, because it's like coming up to say, all right, bye, see you later. I'm going to go now. It's been really nice having tea with you for 15 years or whatever it is, right? Like, and so you're going to have this darker stuff that's not a match to the higher level of consciousness. And so you understanding why it's happening is not, I mean, yes, it can help you to understand why that's happening, so that you don't attach so much meaning to the dark emotions and think that there's something wrong with you, or think that there's something you need to fix. Instead, it's like, I see you. I acknowledge you. You're welcome here. It's okay. I see you. Thanks for being here. Thanks for serving whatever role you were meant to serve for me. I'm going to go. I'm going to keep moving. Thanks for being here. Right. And I know it can be uncomfortable. And so I want to give it space if you need to. Sometimes, especially with dreams, it's writing it down on paper, because at least you're giving it an energetic space in the 3D. Oh, you're welcome. I know. I just kind of kept going, Nika. Thanks for hanging in there. Yeah. Okay. So, Lindsay, is there something you can say to how an earthly timeline speeds up or slows down when surrender is done deeply and correctly? But these fucking questions, you guys. I'm so impressed with you. This is what I will say to that. What they're talking about is, when you're surrendering very, very deeply, you're speeding up the timeline of your soul's actualization and your, in this lifetime, and your full embodiment of your soul's frequency. which means when you're speeding that up, when you surrender deeply, you speed that up, right? That full embodiment of your soul's frequency. And anything that is meant to match that in the 3D reality is going to arrive faster, but it's not necessarily going to be what you think you want. Maybe it is. Maybe it is going to be what you think you want, but it may not be. It's going to be what is the perfect match for your soul's continued expansion in this lifetime. You're going to accelerate that, not necessarily what your ego wants. Does that answer your question? So yes, it speeds things up. It accelerates the union with your soul, which means it's going to accelerate anything that is meant to come to you in this 3D form, but not necessarily what your ego is latching onto as what it thinks you need to move forward. So let me know how that feels and if that answers your question. Okay. Almost knocked my singing bowl over. Okay. M9D5U. If you have a name, let me know. M9D5U. I want to surrender my anger, anxiety, and fear. And so it is done. Decide. This is another big piece with surrender, guys. Decide. Madhu Prita, thank you so much. It's so nice to meet you. Decide it is done. And when the anxiety and the anger and the fear come up, thank you so much for showing yourself to me. I appreciate you being here. This is not the way we're doing things anymore. This is about reparenting yourself. This is not the way we're doing things anymore. I see you. I'm going to sit with you and I'm going to hold you for a moment. I'm going to be with you. I'm going to give you a voice. I'm not going to stifle you. I'm not going to reject you. I'm not going to dismiss you. I'm going to be with you. Right? That way, when you're with it, you're giving it space to continue to serve you, fuel you, speak to you. If it desires to, if there's still something there, if there's still some medicine in it for you. But you're not going to allow it to derail your movement forward. So it's being able to say, it's not, I have to get rid of it to move forward. It's, I'm deciding that this is not a pattern that I will allow to interfere with my momentum because I'm more committed to where I'm going than I am to these lower frequency energies. Right? And so there's two things that come up here. One is being present with those energies, like I talked about, and not necessarily setting your sights on where you want to go from a concrete perspective, but feeling inside of you where you know your soul is tugging you forward and allowing that soul tug to be that anchor that's been kind of thrown forward, that's going to continue to pull you and give you momentum no matter what comes up. And you're able to say, I'm going to listen to that tug regardless of what comes forward with me, but I'm going to be present with what's coming forward to me without rejecting it, but also being very clear about my decision, which is that I've chosen the magnetic soul pull. I've chosen that. So it's not going to go away like that, right? But it's going to get repatterned as you repeatedly choose. So let me know how that feels. Karen says, after learning my numerology and astrology, I know I had an agenda to grow and transform. Pluto taught me well. Yeah, seriously, it will. I still allow things outside of me to dominate my thoughts. How do I embody a new path? It sounds like you already are starting to. So if you're allowing things outside of you to dominate your thoughts, then two things are going on. One is you haven't decided deeply enough and your belief is not deep enough. You haven't decided deeply enough that You're so convicted in who you are and what you're becoming and who you're becoming. You need to deepen your conviction in that. Because if you're allowing things outside of you to dominate your thoughts, then that means that you're not really clear on exactly the position that you're standing on. And that position you're standing on is really meant to come from your soul, not meant to come from your ego's values, right? Because those are still rooted in the conditioning of this lifetime, which, yeah, I mean, there's going to be a flavor of that in there, um, but I think that for you, it's really anchoring more, right? You don't trust that position. Exactly. Exactly. That's the problem. It's about deeply trusting that position. And that's something that is about getting to know your own energy, about getting into that deep level of intimacy in connection with yourself and with your soul, so that there's no wiggle room for discernment. Your discernment is on point. Again, that's something that we do in Vitality as well. That's actually all of what we do in Vitality, is really getting to know your energy and really having that very, very clear discernment between what your intuition's saying, what your ego is saying. How do we marry these two? How do we bring these into this really grounded, embodied, trusting place where not everything is necessarily going to be unfolding in our life exactly as we want it when we're done with this process, but we have deep confidence and faith in the fact that what is meant for us will unfold, and we're not feeling rocked. It's not an overnight. It's not an overnight experience. Okay. Hey, Nina. How are you, honey? I just got a revelation this morning of how subtly spirit shows up for me throughout the day. And the only time I notice it is when I'm surrendering in the moment and reflecting in the future now moment. I love that. I love that you just gave me chills with the subtlety, right? Subtle spirit. So, so beautiful. Yeah. That's what surrender does, guys. It allows us to feel into and receive the subtleties, and not just crash us over the head with a reality. Okay. Lindsay, yes, but how can I ditch my egoistic attachment to earthly success or manifesting? How can I know the difference? Let me go back to your previous question. Yeah, so it's realizing that anything that's earthly success, anything that you're trying to manifest here, is really just energy. It's not about a person. It's not about an experience. It's not about a situation. It's all about an energy that you're looking to manifest and actualize in your life. So it's like um, the outcomes that you're attached to are really just energy. So, like, could you sit down and describe the energy? Like, why do you want this? Why do you want this relationship? Why do you want this experience in your life? Like, what does that offer you? What is it about this experience that energetically is serving you? How are you being fed and fueled energetically from this? Right? Because that's really the understanding, is understanding the energy underneath that, and fulfilling the energy, and being in relationship with the energy, and knowing that you can shift the energy at any moment, at any time. Um, and when working with the energy, you're going to more effectively shift how it looks in the 3D, and how it looks in the 3D will unfold as it's meant to most potently match the energy that you're calling in. Let me know if that answers your question. Again, that's a process. You pointed out to me in an answer to another, I haven't accepted those parts of me that I find so not okay. Yeah. Mhm. Mhm. Absolutely. That's a big piece of it. That's a big piece of why you're having trouble trusting that position and that anchoring, because there's still parts of you that you're rejecting, right? There's still parts of you that you're rejecting there. Um, God, I went through that, you guys. It's just like, I think I can't remember who said it earlier, that it's exhausting. Ninka was like, "It's very tiring." It is. It's fucking exhausting. It's exhausting, you guys. I mean, I just went through something similar. I don't even know, like a couple months ago. And it was like a new layer of consciousness that I was entering, and these parts of me were coming forward that I was like, whoa. I felt like I was going through adolescence again. Like the emotions and the narratives that were coming up within me were like, what am I? What am I, a teen? Like, what am I, 15? You know, I was like, what is going on? Like, I haven't seen this in a while, you know? And it was beautiful because there were obviously little remnants of myself in there that I still had not, that I was still having some like judgment or irritation with, that like when I come up, I was just, now I look at it and I'm just like, oh my gosh, that's so cute. Like it's so, I can see what it is. Right. And the reason these things come up again is because I'm meeting them from a new level of consciousness. I'm meeting them from a new level of consciousness now. And that is so cool because it's like, I get to witness these parts of me that when they would come up, I would judge them or I would get stuck in them or da 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 da, right? And now it's like I get to recognize them from a higher level of consciousness and be able to see what they are much faster and integrate it so much faster. One of my girlfriends just texted me the other day and she was just like, I am so impressed with how quickly you alchemize emotions. Like you shift seriously severe depression so quick, like so quickly. And that's what's so beautiful. It doesn't mean that when we do this work, we're never going to feel. I mean, we are human beings. We signed up for this experience, but it's about seeing it for what it is and alchemizing it so quickly. That's what speeds up that timeline that Lindsay was talking about. That's what speeds up that timeline, is being able to recognize it for what it is, that when we're pining for that person or we're feeling these attachments or we're gripping or we're like, oh my gosh, it's not here. And when is this going to happen? And I've been doing this for so long and da, 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 right? It's like when that stuff comes up and we see it for what it is, we see it for the energy in it rather than about the person or about the experience, that we realize that stepping into our joy and alchemizing that into alignment is the work that has nothing to do with the content of what's going on or the stories in our minds or what we're latching onto, right? Nina says, sometimes I feel like my soul is so multifaceted. It wants to feel, experience everything versus manifesting something particular. Yes. Other than the marriage I've spoken about. Yeah. See, that's what I love, Nina. That's surrender, you guys. Everybody follow Nina. Nina is kicking ass with her channeling. Kicking ass. She is such a light leader. It's gorgeous. Her channeling, I listened to it. I downloaded it and I listened to it because it is giving me, it just gives me chills. She's amazing. That's surrender, friends. Allowing your multifaceted soul to feel and experience everything versus manifesting something in particular. Let yourself be, guys, in the present moment. Let yourself feel it all. I love that. That's how you actualize what it is you want. Let your soul experience what's coming forward. Stop trying to get rid of it. You're welcome, love dove. Lindsay reminded me of what we discussed in our one-on-one. Yep. Energy satisfaction for self before needing it to look a certain way. Yeah. Yeah. It takes practice. All right, guys. I think we are complete for today. Thank you for being here. What was your biggest takeaway? Tell me, like, what is the biggest thing you're going to take from this that you're going to integrate or allow it to be a seed that's growing or meditate on or just journal on or continue to kind of just be with? What's the thing that spoke to you the most? Because not all of you are going to have the same answer, and it's going to trigger some reminders for people here. If I try too hard, I just feel more anxious and unfulfilled. If I surrender into what comes in meditation, I just get stuck. Need to watch the replay. Came in late. Yeah, no problem, Nina. I just talked a lot at the beginning. Shocker. Yeah, anxious and unfulfilled is move the body, you guys. Move the body. Welcome. Make some more space for all this divine love to come in. And if you guys want to chat about vitality, to live by my feelings, I love that. Be present with them. You can read all about vitality on that link I dropped. You can message me. We can chat about it too. I'm happy to chat with you about it. If you're wondering whether it's a good fit for you, I'm happy to chat with you about it. Accepting the parts of myself, the dark experiences Pluto took me through. Yep. Allow myself however long it takes to fully experience this moment, later moments, what I'm hearing, seeing, and feeling. Yep. I need to be still and make space for the divine communicate with me. Yep. My old me is done with. It is time to move on and show up fully without any reservation as universe knows best. Yes. Remember, Danuta, it's not about you. Let the universe speak through you. Your message needs to be heard. One of my, actually the publisher for my holistic mental health books, Laura DeFranco, she's like, your fear is boring. And I love that. She got that quote from somebody else, I think. I can't remember. But she heard it years ago. But she was like, your fear is boring. And I love that because it comes back. It's like, your fear is boring, right? Yeah, Danuta, your fear is boring. I'm going to say that to you. Your fear is boring, right? Let's spice up this fucking planet, guys. Let's have some fun. Let's inspire. Let's love. Let's talk about pathways, ways of being that make people feel like we're fucking lunatics, right? Let's have some fun and play with infinite possibility and look at what we can create here. It's so fun to be human. We get to play, right? We get to play. We get to be in this collective vibration of joy. It's so fun. Nina, it would be so, oh my God, don't even tell me that you want to join Vitality because I will cry and have about 6 dance parties today. Just stop judging what comes up as good or bad. Just allow it. Acknowledge and allow flow to move through. Surrender. Thank you, Cindy. Fear is boring and it doesn't go anywhere. It's a dog chasing its tail. Yes, it's so annoying. Although I'm judging it when I say that. Welcome, fear. You're welcome here. Fear is excitement without the breath. Big Leap quote. I used to say that all the time, Nina. That book is amazing, you guys. If you have not read The Big Leap by Gay Hendricks, it's freaking amazing. Yeah. All right. I'm gonna close this up because I could talk to you guys all day. I love this community on YouTube. You guys are always so open and engaged and raw and honest and authentic. And I'm just so grateful every time. This energizes me and makes me feel like a rock star every time. So thank you, thank you, thank you for being you. Thank you for being here. If there's anybody, you illustrated books for Gay Hendricks? Oh my gosh, you are such a fancy human. You're brushed with fame, Missy. You are so fancy. Look at that, you in there with those vibes so early in your life. That is so exciting. Just look at things that come in and be with them. Yes. Keep expanding with joy and trust. Yeah. And you guys, that's one of the things that we anchor like champs in Vitality. The trust, the belief, we deepen it into every damn cell of your being. Thank you, Sherry. I love you. Thank you for all the stars. Okay, I'm officially closing this. Mwah. Have a beautiful day. Invite anybody you think could appreciate this replay, and I will talk to you very, very soon. Bye.